this video, we will be practicing few programs related to CSV files. So the first program that we will do is writing the content into the CSV file. So I have considered a file p1.csv in which I have to store the product data, and what data I want: PID, PName, cost and quantity. And you have to write n records, and this n will be entered by the user. The heading in the file that I want is PID, PName, cost and quantity. This should be your heading or the header, column header, and sample data I have given you. So let's see how we proceed. First and foremost, I have imported the CSV module. Then I have created a function for writing into the file. I have opened p1.csv in write mode with new line equals to empty string as f. So this is a file object, and then I have written rec equals to csv dot writer. Now this csv dot writer will return a writer object. So this rec is a writer object which writes the data into the CSV file. Okay. Then for the first, I said I want the column header like PID, PName, cost and quantity. So this is a writer object, rec is a writer object. I have written writer object dot write row. So this function will write one row of data onto the writer object, and our writer object is rec. Then I have asked the user to enter the number of records that he or she wants to input. Then I have considered one loop of for. I have asked the all information like product ID, product name, product cost and quantity. ID and product name from the sample data, you could have seen that it was P001. That is the reason I have considered it to be a string value. The name is definitely a string. Then cost is floating, and then quantity is integer. Now I have written that the user has given all these data PID, PN and cost and quantity. Now the user data is obtained and we have to form a Python sequence. Now the sequence could be a list or a tuple. So what I have done, I have written srec, this could be any valid identifier, equals to PID, PN, COT and QTY. These are the variables in which our data is coming from the user. Now what we are doing, now srec is a sequence of list type in our case, since you can see the square brackets are there. Then I have written rec. Now this rec is a writer object, rec dot write row, and I have passed this particular sequence as rec. Now what it will do, it will write this sequence onto the writer object, that is rec. Clear? And now I have called this function. So let's see what output do we get. See, I have asked the user to enter the number of records. Records I have asked 3. I have entered all the details. I have passed all the 3 records. Then see how the content will be shown in the file. You can see the header is PID, PName, cost, quantity, and all the 3 records are written into the file p1.csv. They are delimited by a comma. Clear? And no EOL character, because while writing we have given new line equals to empty string. Talking about this, we will be reading the content from the file p1.csv, and we will display the average cost of all the products whose price is more than 550. So let's see how we will proceed our code. 2 functions I have created, one for reading and another to find the average. So I have opened the file p1.csv in read mode as if. Then I have returned the reader object. Reader object is equals to csv dot reader, and the file handle I have passed. So this rec is basically the reader object that stores the parsed data in the form of iterables, and from that we can fetch one row at a time. So for I in rec, it will iterate and we will be printing one row at a time from the file p1.csv. Another function we have created is avg. Same way I have opened the file in read mode. Again reader object rec equals to csv.reader. Now see next rec. So this next method returns the current row and advances the iterator to the next row. That is, in our case, it will exclude the first row. Okay. And first row was a column header including PID, PName, cost and quantity. And if you haven't used any column header, then you can skip use of next method. Two variables initialized to be 0. Again, we are iterating over the reader object. If float of I of 2, if I show you the content, see 0, 1, 2. At second index, we are having the cost stored, and see it is returning in the form of a string. So what we are doing? We are typecasting it to float. If it is greater than 550, incrementing C by 1 and finding the sum and storing it in the variable S, and then we are finding the average, and finally we are printing the average of the product whose price is more than 550. So we were supposed to find the average of the product whose price is more than 550. So if I see, there are two products having price more than 550. These are the two products. So if we add them and divide by 2, we will get the resultant as 675.0. Thank you.